Hey guys, I'm Dr. Megan Faulkner with Apex Sports Medicine. This is Bethany Shadburn and Austin Cochran of Streamline CrossFit, and we're here to give you our movement preps and warm-ups for 20.1. So this workout is a couplet. We've got 10 rounds for time, 8 ground to overhead, and 10 bar-facing burpees. So we're gonna go through some mobility work, some stabilizing and activation work, and then a nice specific warm-up for you to get you ready for this workout. So the first mobility move we're going to do is using the lacrosse ball in our upper traps. Anytime we're pressing overhead, that's the primary muscle that we're using. So we're gonna grab a lacrosse ball like so. You're gonna drop it straight on top of the trap muscle here, or you can plant it against the rig or a door frame. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with the arm overhead, press the lacrosse ball into the upper trap, and then you're gonna take the trap through a nice full range of motion. So you'll do about 5 movements in that one spot. You'll feel a little increased pressure as the arm comes down and we get some stretch on that upper trap muscle. In general, I love movement with our mobility and our foam rolling. I feel like that's a little bit more effective in getting some blood to the muscle, getting it lengthened out, and our best chance of getting rid of any muscle spasm. An added bit here, you can see Bethany moving the neck side to side, and you can get the top fibers of that upper trap muscle. Our external rotators, if they're tight, they are going to prevent that elbow from swinging through. We want to make sure that we can catch and push overhead if you choose to do a clean and jerk. And anytime you're overhead, if we don't have some length in those, the posterior shoulder or the external rotators of the shoulder, then they can tug and prevent some of that overhead motion. So what we're going to do is foam roll, or like lacrosse ball, the back of the shoulder. So what you do is find the space where the upper arm meets the upper back here, and that nice little triangle, you're gonna put the lacrosse ball there. So once you have the ball in that spot, you're gonna press that then into the wall, and as always, we're gonna add some sort of movement to that foam rolling. So you're gonna start with the arm in external rotation, and then you're gonna move it into internal rotation at the top here. That way we get a really nice full stretch on those posterior shoulder muscles. You're gonna move about 3 or 4 times in each spot, maybe find 2 spots. It's a small area. Don't spend a ton of time here, but definitely work to mobilize those tissues. So up next, we're gonna be going through and foam rolling and mobilizing our hamstring tissues. That's a part of our posterior chain. There's a lot of posterior chain work as you're doing the ground to overheads. We're doing a lot of pulling. So we're gonna make sure that those hamstrings are nice and ready. So we're gonna take our lacrosse ball again. You're gonna put it up under the hamstring, find something that's pretty firm to sit on. Find a nice tender spot, which is usually a spasm or some sort of tightness in the hamstring. And once you do, we're gonna take the knee through extension and flexion here. Again, mobilizing, stretching, and contracting that tissue. If this is not enough pressure for you, you can take some weight and put some weight directly on top of where the ball is underneath your hamstring, and you can also go through those same movements. So you want to make sure that you're working up in 1-inch segments along the hamstring, moving about 3 to 5 times on each spot. Another big part of the posterior chain are the gluteal muscles, so we're going to mobilize those as well, again using the lacrosse ball. So you'll pick a side, start on any side, we're going to do both. You'll lean away from the side you're using, put the ball underneath the glutes. You want to make sure that you're on the back side of our sits bones. And then you're gonna lean into the pressure of that ball. Once you're there, once you've found a tender spot, again, that's tightness or spasm, yes, you're finding it, then you're gonna, whatever ball that you're using or whatever side you're using with the ball, you're going to straighten that leg out front, you're gonna bend it, and then you're gonna let it fall out to the side. As you let it fall out to the side, that's when you're gonna feel the most pressure, and it's gonna get a little bit more intense. So you'll do about 5 movements per spot, and then you're gonna find about 3 spots per side. So please make sure you do both sides. So for the first move of our stability and activation segment, we're gonna be doing some presses with the long band. We just wanna make sure that, again, that overhead position is warmed up. So you're gonna take the band, I would say about a medium strength band, get a nice wide stance, put it underneath your feet, and then you're gonna essentially clean it to your shoulders. Then you're gonna start pressing overhead. We're gonna do 20 reps right here, okay? So making sure you have nice control over the band. Don't let the band fling up or down. And then you really want to make sure that you're keeping those ribs down when you're in your overhead position and that your glutes are squeezed forward. So you are really stable through the core here. Nice. So 20 presses overhead with the long band. So we're going to move right into the next move, and you're going to bring that band down onto your back, and we're going to do 20 banded good mornings. And you can see them getting into those banded good mornings here. So we've been talking a lot about the posterior chain. Here's a wonderful exercise to help trigger that whole posterior chain to fire, since we're going to be pulling up from the ground a ton. So we're going to do 20 moves right here. Biggest thing, make sure you're hinging through the hips here. You have a nice flat back, and the hips are sinking back as you go through the movement and you bend forward. We want all the hinging and no breaking through the low back, no curling. Squeeze those glutes at the top. Make sure you've finished and push the hips all the way through. So for this next move, we're gonna start doing, we're gonna target the core, and then we're gonna fold in a little bit of that posterior chain activation. So we're gonna do what I call a mix between the bear and the bird dog exercise, the bear bird dog. So we're gonna get onto all fours. You're gonna have your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. You're gonna be pressing the ground away here with the thoracic spine, and then you're gonna keep that lordotic curve in the low back. Now you're gonna tuck your feet under, and then you're gonna pick the knees up off the ground about an inch or so. From here, now we've already activated the core. The core is turned on at this point, and you can usually feel it immediately when you pull the knees up. From here, you're gonna take opposite arm and leg, and you're gonna reach over your head and then reach back with the leg. And hold for 5 seconds, and then you're gonna alternate the hands and the feet. Try to make sure you're pushing away here and keeping a nice active shoulder each time. Great job. And that you're also breathing. So you're gonna roll through that 20 times. It's a lot of work. It is a little bit challenging, but really great for activating the core. So for our last activation move, we're gonna warm up the glutes. We're gonna do a banded body weight squat. You're gonna do 10 of those. So the band around the knees is trying to have the knees fall into our valgus collapse. That's triggering the lateral glute here to pull the knees out over the toes. And essentially just makes you a little bit more efficient in this up and down movement. You wanna make sure that all the energy is pulling or pushing that bar overhead. So we're gonna transition this into banded bodyweight jump squats to get you a little bit more explosive for that barbell cycling and also for the burpees. So you're gonna do 10 of these. So we've gone through the mobilization portion and the activation portion of your movement prep for 20.1. And now, as always, you still need to go through the movements. You've got to warm up in the same way, in a specific way to whatever your workout is, and also get that blood flowing and the heart rate up. So Bethany's gonna take you through how she would warm up this workout.
So with the workout, it's gonna be 8 ground to overhead and 10 bar facing burpees. So I think that a best way to kind of do a specific warm up is to go through 3 rounds of half the reps. So 4 ground to overhead and 5 bar facing burpees.
Cool. Thanks. Good luck, guys.
Luck.